Alrighty. Okay, we are live on Facebook. So welcome everybody to Love Speaks Love. I'm Denise, and Love Speaks Love is a platform to introduce beautiful guests to you, to expand consciousness, awareness, and to speak heart to heart. And today's guest is my dear friend, Tori Bassett. Welcome, Tori.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise.
Go on.
No, I just wanted to express some excitement in being here, but I'll wait for you to I'll wait for you to introduce me.
Okay, I'm just checking on my page. Yes, we are indeed live. So I'm going to start actually with just doing a little grounding in and a little heart-to-heart connection. So I'm going to close my eyes, and I invite anyone who's watching to close your eyes as well. And bring your awareness to your heart space in the center of your chest. Breathing in love, breathing out love. And taking a few long and slow deep breaths, breathing in that love. And perhaps on your out breath, making a noise like an ah, like a sigh. And ah is the sound for the heart. So now that we're in our heart space, connecting the hearts of all of those present on the live and all of those present on the replay. Creating a beautiful web of love around the planet. So connecting our hearts now to the heart of Gaia, the heart of the sun, and the heart of Source. And feeling our hearts expand in love. Taking a few more deep breaths. And when you're ready, just opening your eyes. Bringing yourself into this now moment. Fully present in your physical body. So, Tori Bassett. I've known Tori for about 5.5 years. We've done quite a lot of work together. Tori, to me, some of the words that spring to mind for you, one of them is dedication. And I see that dedication to humanity and to the Earth's ascension. You're a mother. You are a powerhouse of energy. I've received many light language activations from you, and they are extremely powerful, extremely potent. You have so many talents. The artistry and the creativity in your body that you've expressed in your life just blows me away. Most people might have one of these talents. Tori is an amazing artist. She's created beautiful galactic paintings, which we can talk about a little bit more if you wish to go into that later. She's also a musician, playing cello and piano, and if I'm not mistaken, singing as well. She has a beautiful way with words, and the way that you express your heart to people through your words is just phenomenal. And you have a beautiful way of holding somebody and really making people feel good about themselves. And you really pour love from your open heart through your words and your energy. And you also create beautiful works of art in terms of sculpture as well. And Tori is the creator of something called Reset to Love, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on, which is an energetic transmission that invites you to reset the hard drive of your soul back to its original setting. And your original setting is love. And for the past 12 years, Tori has been working within the hard drive of the collective consciousness of humanity, calling home the soul fragments from our collective battlefields of conflict and separation, and creating a reflection of wholeness and unity to awaken the central coordinates of balance that exist within us all. So welcome, Tori.
Wow, thanks, Denise. That's beautiful.
It's an absolute delight to have you here, sweetheart. One of the things, when I first thought about doing Love Speaks Love, top of my list of people that I wanted to introduce to the world, because you've been doing this work behind the scenes for a long, long time. And like myself, it's time to step up and rise and be seen. And I knew that I would be the first person to do that through Love Speaks Love. And I'm really honoured and privileged to share you with the world.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for calling me out. It's time, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it's a scary thing to do what we do. It's not like any of us really had this in our awareness, you know, when we were younger. This wasn't on my list of things to do, and it probably wasn't on yours either.
It certainly wasn't on my list.
And here we are, breaking through the nerves. And Tori's actually someone that I met online, but actually we have met in person as well. When I first left Byron and went to New Zealand, it was Tori that picked me up from the airport, and I stayed with Tori for a couple of weeks in her house over Christmas and New Year with Tori's family, who'd come over from England. And that was just an incredible time. And we did a lot of work together in that time as well. So where shall I start? I think I'm going to start with your awakening. So around the age of 36, you had a spontaneous awakening. Would you like to share with us how that experience was for you? And also, you know, maybe if you wish to, in that, how things have changed in your life, like from the person that you were before to the person that you are now.
Yeah, I will give all of that a go. So yeah, at the age of 36, which is, I've been saying it's 12 years ago, but it's actually, you know, more than 13 now.
How did it feel when you said 12 years? I thought, didn't you say that when I was with you? Yeah.
It's been a while. So just a little bit of background leading up to 13 years ago. I'd recently emigrated from England to New Zealand, and I can say with honesty now that that trip was an attempt to run away from myself, which I think, you know, a lot of us do, because, you know, there's a lot there that we don't want to look at, and so there's a temptation to run, and I've always been an extremist, so I ran to New Zealand. But running to New Zealand was the best thing I ever did, and the location was certainly not a mistake for what was about to arise in my life, which was 2 years after getting here, having a very, very spontaneous awakening that happened overnight. The awakening happened overnight. It was like an unveiling and a Oh, yeah, having the ability all of a sudden to see and feel and hear energy, and just have a whole load of, you know, soul knowing come in all at once. But this was, you know, it was really spontaneous for me. I wasn't looking for it, is the point. And I think this is a really valid point, because so many people are waking up at the moment, and they wake up and they had no idea that they were about to wake up. So I always knew right from the beginning, when I woke up in such a sudden way, that this was going to give me the experience and the tools to help other people navigate through a really big shift happening really quickly. And it's really relevant to be talking about this at the moment, because of course so many people are waking up, and that wake up can be really uncomfortable for some people, because so many parts of us, when we awaken, start to try and get our attention. And it's our pain that's stored in I'm going to start using computer analogies now, because they fit this picture so perfectly. It's the pain stored within the hard drive of our own soul and our experience that we've had upon the earth plane. It's that pain that wakes up to get our attention. Not for everybody, not everybody wakes up this way, but a lot of the really, really old souls on this planet who are waking up, and I will call them first wavers, but I mean, there've been a lot of waves of awakening, and there've been a lot of people there've been a lot of people carrying the flag, and doing an awful lot of work and pre-production work, leading up to this moment now, which is, well, it's now, and it's all happening. And the shifts in the collective consciousness that have been occurring just in the last weeks and months have been extraordinary. So anyway, yes, mine was spontaneous. It was dimensional sight, all of a sudden, and I had to come out of a thick fog of my own dumbing down of myself. So I had, leading up to that point, been very hedonistic. I I joke, I joke, but I don't joke as well, that, you know, I gave up drinking at the point that I woke up, because there was so much happening within me and around me at that point that there was no way to navigate myself in any way other than absolute sobriety. So, you know, I went from a big drinker to not drinking anything overnight, and didn't even have a sip of champagne at Christmas until, you know, for a good 10 years or so. Yeah. So so my awakening was dimensional sight, knowing that I had a mission to help other people with this process. Was one of the first things that I knew, and lots of information just came flooding in all at once. You know, that what a lot of people get, you know, with an awakening is this, you know, sense of downloading and just information pouring in, and that's because it is, and it's because it's pouring in from your own soul, and trying to direct you to who you really are, in your core, in your heart, you know, in your wholeness. But there's a lot to navigate in order to get back to that wholeness. And so my mission has been a long one, and it has been 24/7, and it has been a case of waking up and having a whole load of channels open straight away. And, you know, with all honesty, at the beginning, I couldn't make sense of the whole picture, because I didn't have the whole picture. And the whole picture has come as the result of completing a circuit and a journey myself. So the fact that I'm here today is significant, and the fact that I haven't been here up until this point is really significant, because I have been collecting myself and fragments from the collective hard drive. So here, computer analogies again, because they really help to simplify something that can feel very, very complicated, and also because, you know, it's kind of how it is as well. So my mission has been to collect up as much of myself and as much of the fragments that we all are, you know, because, you know, in our journey, you know, upon the earth plane, we have, and we all are journeying on a circle of completion now, but our journey for a long time was one of separation. So when I first woke up, as well as all of this knowing what I was here to do, and a lot of resistance in that, and what, surely I can't be doing that. A lot what actually started happening was I actually started seeing en masse the fragmentation of the heart of humanity, is the best way to describe it, in a in an epic way. So for me, it was being able to see the battlefields that we've all been on, you know, and an experience of being able to be seen by these fragments and them coming to me. And so there was a lot of fear attached to that for me in the first place, because that was the, for me, my awake, you know, I woke up in that space of fear, because that's the point in which I, you know, met the hard drive, if you like, at the point where there's so much darkness and so much separation. And it felt like it was coming to me, you know, for years and years and years. So I saw battlefields, I saw mass lost souls and fragments for a very long time. And it didn't take me long to get my first kind of like toolkit in place, which came with my knowing. It's always been an inner knowing what to do, and some beautiful guidance from amazing souls that always step in at the right time to help you on your journey. And I just started doing what I would have referred to in those days as clearing. You know, the terminology that we use has changed an awful lot over the time that we've grown and expanded. And I just want to point out at this point that it was very, very external for me in the beginning. And I was experiencing that place in separation where we actually see everything as happening outside of ourselves, divinity happening outside of ourselves, and everything happening to us. So it was coming to me, and I didn't recognize it for a long time as something that was also coming from me. And there was a big aha pivot point moment for me, when instead of doing what I used to do in the first few years of my work within the hard drive, which was opening what I will call doorways back to source, way up in the sky, way away from where I was in my house in New Zealand, where I would surround myself in a bubble of light and call as many angels around me as I could, and just try and keep all this stuff away from me. Okay, so that's what I did for years. I tried to keep the pain that I was clearing away from me. And it was a hard time, you know. I won't pretend it wasn't a hard time, you know. And it was me, yeah, piecing myself back together. And throughout that journey, you know, lots of things have happened, but the pivot point and the really relevant point in this part of the discussion is there came a point where I stopped seeing myself as the good witch and the light, because that's all, when I saw the dark, that's all I wanted to be. I just wanted to be the light, you know, and there's a reason why we all want to be the light, and it's because we are the light. But there's so much more going on than that, because we are the dark as well. And as soon as I took ownership and realized that I am both, it started to change the way I dealt with the energy that was coming to me. And, you know, this is a process that took a very long time, but at the point that I owned it on the inside, it started to bring me into balance. And it was through, actually, instead of going, oh my God, this is so overwhelming, I can't cope with all this, you know, energy coming to me, I recognized it as myself and opened my heart to it, and it started pouring through my heart. And that's when I really started growing and expanding and finding myself coming into balance with all of that energy. So there've been lots of different elements to my work here. That has been my main work. It's taken me on a roller coaster ride. It's taken me on a very conscious journey with the energy. As soon as I started taking it through my heart, it changed and it shifted and made it easier. But along the way, there've been some incredible tools that have stepped in, you know, working with light language and the codes of creation and sound. And yeah, it's been a big adventure, but that's.
And I think for people that wake up and can see, I think that's really quite different. And it's so interesting because so many people, all they want to do is see. And for me, for a long time, because I'm primarily, I would say, claircognizant and clairsentient, and my clairvoyance has increased over time. But you were straight away with these two eyes, seeing everything in your field. And I think that's a lot more challenging to deal with as well. It's a lot more scary because I will feel things, but having the visual as well just takes that to a whole different level. And I think, you know, we both kind of worked in a similar way with, you know, golden cylinders of light and putting it in the light and sending it back to source. And for myself and the pain that I have in my own body, now what I do, we're always trying to get rid of it. We're always trying to, you know, just get rid of that pain and push it away from ourselves. But you're so right. And this I think works. That's quite a scary prospect for people to think, I'll take all this into my heart. I think it's really understandable that that's the last place that a lot of us would want to take it. And it's so interesting that that is the very core of it. And whether we're working with the external, which as we know isn't, but what appears to be external outside of us in terms of outside of our physical body, or whether it's inside our physical body, the most effective way to transmute it to love is to breathe it into your own heart. But what a challenge.
Oh.
So how and also something that I found over time, I used to work with Archangel Michael a lot and with different ascended masters and angels. And I find I'm doing that much less now. And there was a period where if I was pulling energy out of a body doing sessions, I would often blow violet light on it and transmute it that way. But sometimes I would kind of hand it over to Archangel Michael. And it's almost like Archangel Michael was standing there going, you know, hands kind of like,
yes.
hands kind of like,
yeah.
And, you know, and you're like, what?
I hear you.
What? But actually the next step of taking it into your own heart, that's huge.
Yeah.
And were you, how did that process, did you just know to do that? How did that happen for you to kind of, how did you know to start doing that?
Well, it was gradual. And I think it just, there's a level of there's a level of consciousness where you just go, oh my God, it's all me. Okay, it's all me. I am everything. I am myself. I am my own consciousness. I am the consciousness of the planet, you know, and I am the collective consciousness. And there is, when you're looking for oneness, there's no separation in any of those, because they're all connected. And I did for many years have the knowing that it was my darkness on the inside that hadn't been embraced, that was allowing all of this other energy to be there. And so for a long time, I just used to say to myself that I own the dark that is in me, that is calling this to me. Okay, so that is a way I did it for a long time. But there was a lot of resistance for me in the amount of energy that was coming towards me, because it was en masse. And when I say en masse, you know, I used to wake up in the morning and there was like hundreds and thousands, you know, of fragments waiting to go through the doorway, you know, that I'd supposedly opened back to source, that I was hoping that, you know, and praying that on the other side of that doorway there were big mighty angels who were going to sort all this stuff out. And hey, it really is just a gradual process of it has been a gradual process of just bringing so much of me back together, that I could open my heart wide enough to say, okay, come one, come all, you know, if you're coming, and if you're coming on, you know, to that extent, then just come and come through me, because you are me. And yeah, just a lot of processes and steps on the way.
One thing that I started doing, if I could feel a presence around me as well that kind of felt quite dark, and especially because I wouldn't necessarily see things with these eyes, but I'd see it internally. I'd kind of know what was there, was even just to start by saying, I love you, I love you. And even the pain in my body, that really shifted for me. Instead of trying to get rid of it, really tuning into my own body and the places where there were pain, and speaking with such love to my own body, and just asking, you know, say it's a pain in my knee, asking my knee, and just being so tender and so nurturing, because we don't always do that. But just really holding myself and saying to that part of my body, I love you, I love you.
Yeah.
And it's huge. And now I kind of breathe that energy into my heart, and then you know that it's transmuted to love.
Yeah, well, it is. It's the whole process of claiming yourself is your love calling yourself back home again. And so the opening of the heart, the opening of the gates of the heart, and, you know, being able to call yourself back home like that is an expression of self-love, because it is saying, you know, when that fragment, you know, whatever it is, whatever it looks like, however painful it feels, is standing in front of you, it's you. But you can only see it as you when you reach a level of self-love, which gives you the acceptance of that part of yourself.
And we're both kind of, for me, Matt Kahn was hugely instrumental in really loving myself. And, you know, that action of, in fact, I'm going to encourage us all to do it, to place one or both hands on our hearts and just say to yourself, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I do want to just acknowledge the people that are watching us live and the people that will watch on the replay as well, and just thank you all for joining us. And I am keeping an eye on the comments, so if anyone does have any questions, do pop them in there and I should see them. So your earlier life, tell us a bit about all the artistic stuff that you've done.
Okay, so I went to art college and trained as a sculptor as soon as I could, and so I was working very, very, very physically with my hands, with clay, with the my favorite thing, for years. And you know, so lucky to be working with something that I was passionate about. And it gave me a really good opportunity to express my rebel, you know, because I certainly wasn't doing a regular 9-to-5 job. And yeah, it was very, very physical. I used to spend a lot of my time, you know, up scaffold towers, and I even spent some time as a pyrotechnician, blowing things up. And well, fireworks, actually, I wasn't being destructive. And yeah, so very, very, very physical life leading up to my awakening, and very much using my masculine energy. I know there's a lot of creative energy in there as well, but I was actually, you know, really physically in my body. And so yeah, when I woke up, it all went from very, very physical to metaphysical overnight. And a big part of the process of joining up circuitry, which is by the way, that's the way I've been working for a long time, is no longer, I didn't have to, as soon as I started really, really opening my heart to the energy and allowing it to come through me, I didn't have a need to see the dark anymore, because I'd understood that. And I started seeing the hard drive, the collective hard drive, and the planetary hard drive in a completely different way. And that's when the whole real computer stuff, seeing it as a computer and experiencing it as a computer stuff, did start connecting for me. And I started seeing it as codes and broken circuits and scales that needed to be balanced by finding the fulcrum point, which is the place that we're all, zero point. Yeah, 0 point. So I know I've drifted off the subject a bit here, but the what I'm talking about there with the scales of creation is that, you know, within us we have our limits, which is the pain and the separation, and we also have our limitlessness. Okay, so we have, you know, this incredible, you know, it's limitless, you know, so it's infinite. So we have the finite and the infinite, and there's a place in between those 2 points, which is the balance point. And that's that balance point is love. Okay, so it's the place between the uphill climb and the downhill freewheel, and it's the place that as humans we are searching for all the time. We're searching for, and we search for this place outside of ourselves, you know, because that's our natural state of being, you know, to seek for it outside ourselves. And it's a natural state of consciousness to see this outside of ourselves, but actually that point exists right within us, right in our heart. And yes, Denise, it's 0 point, and it's what happens every single time we embrace a part of the pain, the limitation, the finite part of ourselves. When that is embraced, it creates this amazing alchemy with the counterpart frequency, the exact opposite frequency held along that scale of limitlessness, you know, our divinity comes in and embraces the pain and calls it back home. And it calls it back home. And that calling back home is it's the reunion of ourself with ourself, you know, because it's the pain within us is just longing to unite with all of that within us that is not pain, you know, and all of that within us that is not pain soothes the pain and brings us back into balance. You know, it's only our absolute love that can call the deepest wounds of us back together again. And what happens with ascension when you start balancing those scales and taking ownership of that pain, which is the process, you find that core within you, that place of balance, and start to stay in that place more and more.
Yeah.
And it's the staying in that place and the ability to keep coming back to that place and spending as much time as possible in there that just becomes a heart opener and opens the dimensions, you know, and our ability to rise up. So I see it like this pivot point, this fulcrum point that we reach that just opens our gates. And you know, when our gates are open, we can ascend the spiral staircase that's always been there, you know, and we're not actually awakening anything that isn't already there. We're just taking ownership of it again, forgiving ourselves for being human and taking ownership of all that we've done, and having fun on that journey, and just seeing how much of our souls and our human souls that have been through this extraordinary journey, how much of our souls we can embrace in our own heart. And then with the embracing of the fragments of that soul, you know, comes a party. You know, that's the party. It's a homecoming party. It's why the point of love feels like home, because that's home base. Okay, that's where we start to feel the connection to everything. And it's never just our own individual pain, it's always the pain of the collective as well. You know, we can't just clean up. This is the beauty of it, you know, we can't just clean up our own hard drive. We're here to help everybody else to find their way back home as well. And yeah, and so that's very much why so many of us have already awoken, because we've been finding our own way back home and throwing out breadcrumbs for other people to follow, and creating maps and bridges back to the core. And yeah, it's that point of balance. It's the returning and returning and returning back to the core that opens it all up. Yeah.
And I feel you're talking about Reset to Love, which is a project that you've been working on a long time. And it's like everything that you've done so far is leading up to here. Yeah. Is there more that you want to share on Reset to Love?
Well, everything I share really is Reset to Love, because Reset to Love is just a container and a name for what I'm here to be, which is as whole as I can possibly be within myself and within the collective, to just be a reflection of that central point of balance for anybody who's ready to receive it. So because that central point of balance is love, and because we are here to reset to love, you know, our challenge coming to Earth was, I believe, to actually fall into separation. I don't believe it was a mistake. I believe, you know, that was always going to happen, and our challenge was to fall into separation, complete our journey with separation and our dance with separation, if you like, and then to wake up, remember who we are, and to find our way back home. And the destination is love. So reset to love, you know, those words have been with me for a few years now. And I have been delivering my this reflection and inviting people to receive the map from me and the reflection from me, and as much wholeness as I can hold in my own reflection, to awaken that point of balance within themselves. And it's a process that I go through with people. There's a initial transmission that I give to help awaken those coordinates, because they are our central coordinates. And I deliver, I always refine what I do constantly, because I'm always refining myself. So I always have I always feel like I've reached my ultimate center and get really, really excited about it, and, you know, start partying and celebrating, and then woo, I leave that point and then call it all back in again. And it's the way it is. It's the way of ascension, and reset to love is what I'm here to invite people to do. And yeah, it just keeps refining itself.
And are you ready with that now, with reset to love?
Yeah. And it's always going to be growing, and it's all, you know, but it's ready, and it's calling the people that I'm working with. I mean, I've been working with it for a few years. I've been working with it with what I lovingly call test pilots, because, you know, when you have a new tool to use, you know, you've got to work out, you know, how to use it. And my favorite test pilot of all is my mum. And of course, there've been many friends that have helped me to refine this, and also to weave this, because what happens, it's ready for people who are, you know, are weavers, and, you know, conscious weavers like me and you, but it's ready for a lot of people. And this is my first time talking about it on a platform like this, but I'm all ready, set, go. Yeah, I'm ready, and I'm creating it. I'm creating a digital format for it, so that I can, connect with lots of people simultaneously, and transmit and guide.
And how can people get hold of you for that? Facebook? Let me just say at this point, Tori does have a Facebook page. She's never put a single post on there as yet.
As yet. But I've always been a bit dramatic, so I might make one today. Or a bit extreme. Yeah. So no, you can't get in touch with me on a website yet. There's no digital presence up there whatsoever. But Denise thought it would be a really good idea to step out and talk about it anyway. So if anybody does want to contact me about that, at the moment it is email, like in the olden days. And if you've got the technology, Denise, to put my email address out there, that would be great.
Would you like to tell me your email address, sweetheart? I shall do that now.
Tori, Tori, at reset to love. So that's got 2 T's in the middle of it, .com.
There we go. Wonderful. No, we just start a little bit late. I'm going to ask you, I'm sure you'd like to do a transmission, but I just wonder before that if there's anything, because sound is really important to you as well. Is there anything around this subject of sound that you want to share about?
Yeah, well, I could. Sound is huge. It's really important. It's not a tool that I use in my transmission anymore. But it is absolutely huge, and it was it used to be a really big part of my toolkit, and but I'm not using light language so much these days. Yeah, so
yeah. Go on.
Well, I used to when I first started working with the codes of creation. I used to draw them, and I knew that there was another element to them to bring them to life. And I used to play my cello and create the right sounds with them that would actually start them activating and doing their thing. So, you know, there's such a huge key there in sound. And as higher dimensions open up, or as I open up to higher dimensions, because they're already there, you know, this stuff's already there, it's just us opening up to it, then there's a lot of sound there, there's a lot of music there. Yeah, but I don't so I used to take my easel and paper and colored pencils to healing sessions, and because color is a huge part of this as well. So, you know, the vibration of, you know, sound, light and color is absolutely huge. And yeah, there's a lot to say on that subject. I was very relieved when I started speaking light language, because I didn't have to carry my cello and my easel around with me anymore. And it sort of landed in, you know, in a much easier toolkit that's always accessible.
Would you like to do a little transmission?
Yeah, I would have loved to. So if we close our eyes just to bring ourselves to our inner as much as possible, our inner world, and just breathe deeply into your core and receive the reflection of reset to love that I'm here to deliver today. Knowing that I'm just reflecting you in as much wholeness as I can reflect. So this is you from your central point being reflected back to you. To reawaken your connection to you. In balance. Right at the center of all you are. So just receive it. and allow it to awaken what's ready to awaken. And there's a place on your physical body I'd like to draw your attention to, just below the place where your rib cage meets. So below the heart chakra and above your solar plexus. And put one of your hands there now and just really bring your focus to that part of your body. And then allow yourself to breathe in through that part of your body. So you can imagine that you've got like a blowhole there, like a whale, and just start breathing through that point. Which really starts to activate that point on your body. And just know that this is a place in you that you can return to. It's your center point. And I'm going to keep talking now, but I want you to just keep breathing through that point and allowing more and more of this transmission to land, because it is you, it is not me. So it will continue to land. And just allow it to flow through that point, but also just acknowledge it as something that doesn't just flow through that point, but lands in all the cells of your body. And start to move your body as a way of claiming that. And when you're ready, open your eyes and reclaim that space around you. Yeah. And do what Denise is doing.
Synchronized sighs there.
And enjoy that space and that sample of you.
Wow. Yeah. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting an image of a a figure of 8 with that, because that to me is what the still point is as well. It's that central point of the figure of 8. And I kept seeing the figure of 8, but I knew it was all around. It was like, yeah, so many figure of 8 all the way around.
Well, that's 0 point to me. That's love. That's infinity. That's, you know, that's the point where we open to our infinite. And yeah, when our circuits all join together, they do this beautiful, when our circuits join together, and they do this joining together bit by bit when we're ready for it. And they do that. There's this beautiful point in circuitry where it's all joined and the energy is flowing around it, and then it does a flip into the infinity symbol, and it starts, you know, reactivating your toroidal field, really, which has that point of infinity.
I do feel very blissed out.
Good.
And I can really feel, and I could feel it all around me as well. I could really feel that love energy. And towards the end, I was getting lots of visuals, like lots of kind of flashes of light as well coming in. And feel free, anyone that's watching that's received that as well, feel free to share how that felt. And this is actually strong energy today as well. There's a lunar eclipse today, full moon, lunar eclipse in Cancer. So yeah, a very, very apt time, I think, for us to be collaborating with this today.
Yeah, it's very poignant that you're in England and I'm in New Zealand to be doing this as well. It's that center point is so easily held, you know, the north to south, you know, of the planet when we're weaving, with one of us in England and one of us in New Zealand. And yeah, it's full moon here tonight, and I'm already on the 11th, and you're still in the 12th, so that you know, that helps again.
And of course, that 0 point between you and I is the heart of Gaia as well, with you know, England where I am and New Zealand on the other side as well. And it's like the arrow goes straight through the heart. Is there anything that you would like to share?
Yeah.
Anything that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I'd just like to say to anybody who's really felt that transmission and, you know, feels that place, stay really well hydrated and just, you know, experience it, and you know, get to know it, and don't be disappointed if it leaves. It never really leaves because it's you, but it is a choice to go back to, and to that place. And it's just that's just a sample, a first taster of Reset to Love. And once you've chosen it, and you might feel like if you shift out of balance that you can find your way back there immediately yourself, and some people will just get that, and it'll be so there. It really depends on what part of your journey you're at. If it isn't a place that you get back to yourself, then I will have lots and lots of ways of offering that to you and guiding you back to it in a much more permanent way through online transmissions and and videos that are being created.
And that's a really good point that you make as well, that a lot of us don't really know, especially people just starting on their journey, they don't really know what that feels like to be in that place of love. And once your body knows what that is and where it is, then it can find its way back there.
Yeah. And it will, for some people, it will be really easy to get back there. And for other people, they'll need some more guidance and support to get back there. And that is what I'm working on. And so that will be there very, very soon. You know, I mean, what it is with Reset to Love, with this transmission, it has to be delivered in a here's a taste of it. This is what I'm talking about. But then it's a choice to come back and receive more. Yeah. For which I will be available very soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
And in the meantime, people can message you on that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I might even appear on Facebook.
I'm just going to share with you some of the comments from Beverly Goodwin. Very blissful and loving. Thank you. From Susan Crystal Diamond, and I'm just going to refer back to oh no, it's a forward. Susan Crystal Diamond Curtis is in Waikanae, which is near you, I believe.
It's just up the road.
And she says, I feel very relaxed, thank you. And someone called Ali Henry.
Oh, Ali Henry. Hello, Ali.
How on earth did Ali know that you were on today, I wonder?
Oh, I have no idea. Someone must have told her.
Don't know who that would be. Always so very blissed with Tori's transmissions. Heart, so potent. Pure love. Heart. Thank you, Ali.
No.
And Susan says again, thank you, Tori. Lovely to hear about you, about all you be and sharing. There are 3 hearts from Heather Houston and an oh hi from Ali Henry. Well, that was beautiful.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear sister, for sharing your time and energy with all of us here on Love Speaks Love. Speaking from the heart, expanding our hearts, bringing us back, as you say. I was going to say bringing us back to love, but resetting us back to love. Thank you. And the next, I haven't yet planned the next Love Speaks Love. I'm not sure who the next guest will be, but keep an eye out on my Facebook page. There are also, and I haven't shared this yet, like my coming out in terms of Love Speaks Love has been a little bit of a slow process. I did create a Facebook group and a Facebook page, and I couldn't decide which I would do, so I'm keeping both of them for now. But if anybody wishes to be present on those pages, just check them out. I kept them hidden a little bit, but I changed them from private to public. Anything else? Let me just think. Just to say that I'm sure I'll be doing despite the fact that my tripod has broken, I've got plenty of tape. So I'll be going out with my tape and my scissors, taping it all together, and I'm sure I'll do some Facebook Lives next week. But from myself and from Tori, I want to thank everybody who's been watching, everyone who watches on the replay and on YouTube, and love and blessings from my heart to yours. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. It's always so hard when I do a Facebook Live or start this to actually start it. But once it's time to finish, I don't want to go. It's like, it's so nice to be here. Okay, I am going to stop the live stream